Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. One of the biggest problems with fighting on a team or having any kind of team spirit, which I find it hard to muster anyway. I've always found it hard to muster team spirit. I've had little times in my life where I can kind of get it. You know, church basketball, we do okay. But I never really had team spirit too much because I didn't feel like I was part of the team. Even if I was part of the team, I always felt like I was competing or fighting with people on the team who didn't like me. You know, in sports, I was kind of a skinny kid. So I wasn't the first picked. I was never the first picked. I wasn't usually the last person, but I was in the bottom third for sure, getting picked for sports, you know. And a lot of it just I was a skinny kid, you know. I wasn't athletic and I didn't have the athletic mindset. You know, like we need to do this. We're a team. We need to get together and do this. There are a few examples of this. I became the captain of my softball team in what was it, 5th grade? We had a tournament in 5th grade for summer sports, but it was during the school year. And we divided the 5th grade into 6 or 7 teams. And I somehow became the captain of my team. But we were the misfits, and we even called ourselves the West Jordan Wipers. You know, we're going to wipe you out. You know, and we won. Weird thing. We were all the nerds. We weren't the jocks, and we won the tournament by some stroke of luck or just strategy. We won, you know. And but again, that's team. Am I on a team? No, I've always been the individual. I've always been even when everybody always doubted me when I was in flag football and stuff, I was never good at the big team stuff, but I kind of would, as an individual, just think, okay, I can figure out where that ball is going to go and I'll intercept it. You know, I'm not strong enough to take most of these people down, but I can intercept the ball. And I did that in basketball too. I can steal the ball, you know, because I figured I could guess where the guy was going to go there and just get there first or fake him out and take the ball. But nobody ever really saw that as a talent with me because of the way I looked. I think every time that I did it, I would just make them angry. Even my own team wouldn't be like, yeah, you fucking rule. It was more like, you got lucky. You know, not knowing that I was going through the process in my mind to do exactly what I did, you know. But again, that's I've always felt like I was an individual. Even in that environment, I was there to get my job done for my own purposes, you know. So yeah, I've never been really a team player. Even when I was a Mormon missionary, I didn't feel like I was like the other Mormon missionaries. I felt like I had to have a different slant, a different approach. Anyway, with all that's gone on in the last few years, I've felt really compelled to stick up for Christians because I was raised Christian, and I know that most of the people I grew up with are at least as good of people as I am and better. You know, so when I hear people calling them Nazis and evil things, I'm like, yeah, you don't get to do that. I can talk shit about my family, but you don't get to. You know, that was kind of my approach. But, you know, as things have been ramping up, I've been kind of putting myself on Team Christian, you know, because a couple of reasons. You know, even though I want to be an individual, the rest of the world sees me as a white Christian male. So I'm like, okay, if you're going to push me on that team, I'll fight for that team anyway. But it's hard. It is hard to be on a team because the people on my team right now, I'm having a hard time finding anybody on my team right now that has got even the slightest bit of wits about them. You know? And these are people that I've been, you know, I got to admit, it's dumb anyway because these are mostly internet people that I've never met in my life. You know, so it's weird to even be talking about these people, these Facebook contacts that, you know, came to me because of music video I made or a comment I made or a meme you know, and then I talk to them a few times and exchange voicemails with them here and there. You know, to even consider them to be kind of friends or part of my team is already kind of shaky, right? But that's kind of how the internet goes. You just go, okay, well, these people are sharing the same memes as me and this or whatever. But right now, I don't see hardly anybody on my so-called team that is even slightly rational when it comes to the Tyler Robinson stuff. It's like most of them are full-blown Candace Owens. And like I've been recording, I've wanted to cut her slack. Her friend was murdered. She's got kids. She's got other things to do. She's got a lot of money, an expensive husband, you know. A lot of reasons to get full of herself, you know, a black woman is speaking, you know. Candace isn't beyond that. She's kind of showing her a black woman is speaking side right now. And it's frustrating because she's not producing any evidence. You know, it's just mind-blowing to me how people have just decided to ignore evidence. That's the problem. Like in 2020, I was trying to get everybody to ignore the fear, ignore the things presented without evidence. When somebody presents a claim, they must have evidence to back it up. The air is poison is a big claim. You must get evidence to back it up. So they make these videos and whatever of some people dying in the street in China, some freak out videos of some morgues getting backed up without telling you that the morgues are closed, so they can't send corpses out the door to be buried. That's why you get a lot of people. If you stop burying people, if you start taking people out of the morgue and putting them into the ground, you're going to get a pile up at the morgue. And that pile up in the morgue, if to a person that's not thinking it through, looks like, oh shit, everybody's dying. Yes, they are dying, as always. You know, you make a big claim, you gotta support it with some evidence. And then when you look at the evidence, you gotta go, okay, what is this evidence? For example, bodies at the morgue. Oh shit. Call up the morgue. Hey, what's the deal with the bodies in the morgue? Well, we can't bury anybody. Oh, got it. Got it. Makes sense. Boom, click. That gets impeached, that piece of evidence. You know? But you got to produce something. You got to produce evidence. If somebody just simply says, you know, okay, here's my claim. My goat ate my bologna sandwich. What? That's preposterous. I don't believe you. Okay, you don't have to believe me. My goat ate my bologna sandwich. Well, you're a liar. Wait, hold on. Wait, what? We went from you not believing my story to me being a liar? That's a claim. You know that calling somebody a liar is a claim, right? How are you going to prove to me that my goat didn't eat my bologna? I don't have to prove it. You're the one that made the claim that the goat ate the bologna. Okay, well, here's my goat. This is my goat. How do I know that's your goat? Well, it's my goat. It's right here. It's my goat. I own it. Well, you need an ownership slip. Okay, all right. Well, how do we know it ain't a bologna? Goats don't eat bologna. Yeah, who would believe that? Who's gonna believe that? What? It sat down at the table with a knife and a fork? Oh, do you have any pictures of that? No, I didn't. Actually, the goat ate the bologna sandwich when my back was turned. Oh, so you didn't even see the goat eat your bologna sandwich? Oh, God, who believes this guy? Well, yeah, it's happened before, okay? The goat has eaten my bologna sandwich before. I fed him bologna sandwiches. He likes bologna. Oh, you expect me to believe that? Okay, would it help you if I made a video of my goat eating a bologna sandwich today? No, Anybody can do that. Do you know what I'm saying? It becomes impossible to just you're lying. Somebody produces a story, something happens, you see it with your own eyes. Hundreds, thousands of people see it. You see a video of it. Occam's razor, they start answering questions because lots of people are looking for answers. Lots. There's a whole group of people, everybody in the crowd, everybody at that school, everybody in Utah was looking for answers. They wanted to know. So lots of people started calling in with tips, calling in, until some parents said, you know what? Damn it, that's our kid. You know? And they produced the photos. They produced videos. Walking down the street limping. You know? Oh, he's in that outfit at this time, this outfit at that time, blah, blah, blah. They're producing evidence to corroborate their story. And in fact, they're not even really releasing a whole timeline. They're just releasing chunks as they get them, little bits at a time. And then and in retrospect, you put it together because that's the way the leads come in, too. There's not an all-knowing, seeing eye floating that knows the whole story from the get-go, except for the person that committed the murder, you know? But right out of the gate, including myself, people like myself, I was posting they killed Charlie, you know? And I knew who I meant when I said they. I meant leftist lunatics. I still think I was right. I meant the people that have indoctrinated the people that have turned into murderers, you know? Crazy, violent leftists. That's what I meant, you know? They got him. They. I didn't mean that they had this orchestrated plan, that 10 people did it. That's how I meant it, you know? So everybody has a theory. They did it. The Jews, you know? The government, the CIA, the FBI, they, you know? And mine's no better. I'm talking the curriculums, the schools, the algorithms, the Zoomer zombies, you know, the kindergartner teachers, the wavers of the pride flag, the communist flag. That's what I mean by they, you know. But anyway, the evidence starts coming out piece by piece. And you go, does that seem good or not? And I've been shocked by how many of people on my team are just rejecting it irrationally. Just because the government says it. Therefore, it sucks. Therefore, you can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, but what if it's true? Does that matter? Or are we just rejecting true things because we don't like the person saying the true thing? Are we rejecting evidence just because we don't like who touched it last because of cooties? I don't like that Cox guy. He touched it. Okay. But the Ring camera videos come from other people. There are lots of people, you know. Oh, I don't believe a word they say. Okay, well, you don't. Do you have to believe them, or can you believe your eyes and your own sense of discretion? Yeah, but I have a feeling they did it. Okay, feelings. Okay. Look, and by the way, I'll preface this. You know, even as I'm saying this, even as I've been criticizing Candace Owens this week and going on, I admit I'm putting myself on the line for this. Because if Candace Owens turns out to be right, then I will come out I'll go, I think Candace might be a witch. She might have spiritual powers that I don't possess. You know? That's what I'll have to do if it comes out that there was a grand conspiracy involving Erica, all of his security guards, the Utah governor, the sheriff, his parents, Today she said, oh, his parents. His parents, they'll say, okay, did you talk to his parents? No. Well, who did you talk to? An anonymous person. Oh, an anonymous person. And what'd they tell you? Well, I'll just tell you what they told me. Did you record the call? I mean, you do have a show. I've seen you do interviews before. Is there a reason why you didn't do an interview with this person? That would be easy. I mean, you don't trust anybody else's interviews. You demand to know their names and their backgrounds and everything else. If somebody says anything, you need to know everything about them. But you, Candace, who needs to know everything about every single person, you demand that we trust your third party. You don't need to survive the same scrutiny as everybody else. Is that what you're saying, Candace? Because I know what I can say to you for that, and that is, you can go fuck yourself. You need to be scrutinized just as much as anybody else. You're making a claim that all these people are lying. You're not saying one person is lying. You're saying they're all lying. But your source, the one person you talk to, we don't even know who this person is. It's just a person. The parents, how? Who is this person? How are they related to this family? Is it a brother? Is it a sister? You see how she gets crazy when she says she tries to poke holes in other people's stuff? There's nothing easier than poking holes in what she claims. She's not providing us a single name. I mean, she said, here's the thing with Candace. When she issues a challenge, I just do it. On one of her earlier programs, she said, I want you to search your own text for vehicle. See how often you use the word vehicle. I checked mine, and it turns out I used the word vehicle enough. Like there was probably about 10 or 15 results in my text where I used the word vehicle, right? She said, did you check, see how often you use the word retrieve? Turns out I use the word retrieve a lot, especially when it comes to telling my neighbors to retrieve their Amazon packages from off the porch. I want you to get it before somebody else gets it. Go retrieve your package. So I use it. She said she was showing this young kid that had retraced the steps because it went through his neighborhood. And he showed his Instagram account. And she was saying, I talked to this kid and he's connected with Phil Lyman and I can't even find his parents. Isn't that weird that we can't find Phil Lyman's parents? Like, where did he come from? And I've got a source that worked on Phil Lyman's campaign. I'm like, okay. So I start searching Phil Lyman. Turns out there's a lot to know about Phil Lyman. He ran for governor. He's got 5 kids. He's from Blanding, Utah. Seems like a real Trump supporter. Seems like a good guy. Most of the stuff he said was pretty rational. Stuff I like. Made me want to move to Blanding to be around Phil Lyman, from what I saw. Married to a girl named Jody Schumann. I had to wonder if she went to my school because I think I remember somebody from my school named Shumway. Shumway. That's what it was. Jody Shumway. So, but she said he couldn't find anything about her parents. Well, I asked Grok, and Grok found the parents right away. In fact, the first thing he said is like he was a Mormon. He inherited his father's law firm. A few other searches found the law firm. Not hard. So why did Candace say that? I don't like little lies. I don't like little lies. Well, why did you say that? And then about Shane, his nephew, retracing the steps, which is something I would do. You go to the college and go, okay, so he walked through here? She goes, I asked him a simple question. I wanted to see, because I thought it was weird that he retraced the steps and took pictures. Who does that? And who are these people in the photos with him? Well, probably his friends. Did you think about that? His friends went along with him and they took pictures in the same spaces. Is that unusual? Do you know how many people take their picture at Jim Morrison's grave? Anyway, I need to know who it is. So she said she sent the guy a message and he set his account to private. First of all, if Candace sent me a message, I would probably put all my shit on private. Because if Candace is going to talk to you, she's going to implicate you in the murder of Tyler Robinson. At this point, right now, if you get an email from Candace Owens, it is because she has decided that you are a woman and not a man, and that you are somehow involved in the murder of Tyler Robinson. You know? So put your shit on private. But anyway, she said that, and I went and looked up the guy on Instagram, and his stuff wasn't on private when I found it. And I watched his video of him tracing the steps, you know, and he was with a woman, I assume it is his mom or some kind of relative, and they're going, I can't believe they were right here. It's creepy, and there's the line, there's the roof right there, and he walked right through here, and they even found a footprint, a Converse footprint, which is something you could find if you retraced his steps through a wooded area with dirt, you know. But no, Candace, I need to know his name. Something's not right. I don't know, but I know, you know? I don't know, but I know. Candace knows that about everybody right now. Like, who in Candace's orb right now isn't implicated in the death of her friend Charlie Kirk? Besides Tyler Robinson. For some reason, she has decided that it's definitely not Tyler. Even though there's photos of him going there, jumping off the roof, going to Dairy Queen, friends and family saying, yep, that's the guy. Have you seen any stories? How many people did you know? How many people did you go to high school with? Have you seen any of them going, actually, you know, Tyler was with me that day. He would never do that. He liked Charlie Kirk. No. Why aren't they asking this question? Why aren't they asking? People are sending me videos of grainy shit like, it's a bush. The bush. There's a guy in the bush. Okay, there's other pictures of the bush. Here's a guy. He's crazy looking. He's creepy. He's wearing glasses. He looks like he's trying to do, what's that movie? Men in Black. He's dressed up like Men in Black. Okay? Gotcha. And you think that that's the way real killers... You think that's the way they look when they go into a crowd? They dress up like an assassin? As to not draw attention to themselves? Anyway, lots of video. Can you find one of the guys shooting? Oh, but Merkley, they haven't shown all kinds of stuff. Look, I agree. I want to see more. I want to see the videos of Tyler driving through town. I want to see the video of him on the roof shooting him. But why wouldn't they show it unless they're up to no good? Well, because they're cops. And right now, this is the biggest story in the universe. And when you withhold evidence, you put yourself at an advantage because you can sift through leads and you can interview people without them having seen the evidence. So, if a man says, I saw him on the roof and he was putting on his pink slippers, and you have not released footage of the man on the roof putting on his pink slippers, and nobody knew he was putting on his pink slippers except for the person looking at that video, then you know you have a witness that is telling the truth. You know? I saw him, okay? Do you know what I mean? That's why you withhold information. That's why we didn't see all the Kyle Rittenhouse footage until his trial. It existed, but they were keeping it hidden. And, I have mixed feelings about that because I don't think they should keep it hidden. I think that the world is a better investigator than just a couple of guys or a few guys. Information wants to be free. Let it go. Let the world help solve the problem. But of course, you see how people are acting right now, and there's good arguments to blow that argument I just made out of the water, because you see how irresponsible people are. You see, I mentioned that on Candace's X account. I showed her. I said, look. She said, there's no way he could have crawled up and scaled the roof and got on that building and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I've already seen a video of the walkway where you walk straight out of the door, walk straight down this little walkway, you hop over a waist-high gate fence thing, and you're on the roof. You literally don't even need to climb. It's like stepping over a police barricade. Even lower, and you're on the roof. But she didn't bother looking at that, She hasn't, it seems like she hasn't bothered doing anything. What it seems like she's doing is she gets on her show, and she just starts giving her witchy hunches, hoping that her audience will do all the work. I think most of her things are from her audience. Anyway, it's frustrating because I thought the Candace people were on my team, but, I put that comment on her thing today showing that Shane's Instagram wasn't put on private. And they all, you got 10 people going, you're probably hiding it. Takes 2 seconds to unhide it. You just implicated yourself. Do you know what I mean? The pitchforks are out. Don't you dare go against Queen Candace. We will come for you. You probably did it. Literally, go look. That's how people are talking. And you wonder why people put their shit on private. This poor Shane kid, he's like an effeminate Mormon kid, just probably a sweet little guy. He's got his website is Hear Him. He's a Charlie Kirk fanatic. He's a super religious kid, And he's right now got all of Candace's rabid fans coming after him because Candace has a hunch. How is he connected to Bill Lyman? Bill Lyman, he's connected with the military. He lives on that street, or he was on that street with all the people who are in a valve business. And if you're into valves, if you manufacture valves, well, you may as well be Mossad. The lines that she draws are, to me, just preposterous. And I was cutting her slack for the first few days, but man, we're 2 weeks on, 3 weeks on. I'm not expecting her to calm down or suddenly get over it, but there's a certain point where you can't claim, you can't even hide behind being sloppy, because this stuff is just sloppy, It's a point where it just becomes nefarious. It's like, Candace, you can't demand that everybody else be completely transparent while you maintain this little secret cabal of sources. I know what the family's saying. Tyler's not suicidal. Yeah, did you talk to him? Shut the fuck up, you didn't. Did you talk to the parents? No, you didn't. And you didn't publish the interviews or the names of your inside sources so that we can vet them. You're creating this wall where you have to be the sole vetter, and we have to trust you. Well, guess what, Candace? Go fuck yourself. It's absolutely insulting. It's so insulting to be told that by a person who doesn't even
who wouldn't allow somebody else that same privilege. She doesn't allow them, you know? I saw the video. Okay, I didn't. You know what? I think it was her goat that ate my baloney. That's what I'm starting to think now. Now that I've thought it through. Her goat ate my baloney. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song.